So I have an update to the story of a transgendered woman who tricked this man into having sex with her. And then when he realized she was transgendered, he shot her.
He told police she approached him for a sexual encounter, but he began to feel, quote, suspicious.
I'm thinking he thought it was a girl. It's like, oh man, yeah, she can say if I want to get sucked off, man, this must be my lucky day. Yeah. Starts getting sucked off. He's like, wait a minute.
That should be a red flag somewhere.
Them hands.
This is Savannah Ryan Williams, a transgendered woman, and she has asked Darian Bible if he wanted to have sex. Now, Savannah seems to be a prostitute with a long criminal history. For instance, at the time of her death, she was currently listed as a fugitive from justice on robbery charges. So on November 29th, she meets this guy, and this is what happened.
On November 29th, Minneapolis police responded to an early morning shots fired call near 4th Avenue South and Lake Street. Court documents say 25-year-old Demarion Kaylon Bible admitted to shooting Williams in the head.
Now, the strange part about this whole scenario is the reasoning on why Bible believes he had to shoot the victim. Listen to exactly what happened between the two.
He told police she approached him for a sexual encounter, but he began to feel, quote, suspicious after the act and shot and killed her. Bible confessed after police found surveillance video of him at the scene near the Lake Street light rail station.
Now, one source of a lot of confessions from criminals comes from jailhouse conversations. See, the state owns a jailhouse, and if you call into the jail, all your phone calls can be recorded. So a lot of confessions are obtained by the recordings of jailhouse phone calls. People like to confess on the phone for some reason. And that's exactly what this guy did. He confessed to his crimes over a jailhouse phone call.
Paperwork says while in jail, Bible told his dad he just murdered someone, and he felt sorry for killing the victim and knew he wasn't God, but he, quote, had to do it.
Now, the facts of this case seem to be pretty clear. Bible shot the victim because he was fooled into believing he was having sex with a woman, but it happened to be a man. So now there are three possible charges that Bible could be facing. He could be facing a voluntary manslaughter charge, a murder charge, or a murder charge with the enhancement of a hate crime. Now, Bible was arguing that this was voluntary manslaughter because he did it in the heat of passion. And if found guilty on voluntary manslaughter, then Bible would be looking at between 10 or 20 years in prison. If the state charged Bible with murder, he's looking at about a 30-year sentence, and if they charge him with murder as a hate crime, he's looking at a life sentence. So now, with all this evidence against them, Bible went with a self-defense argument. Bible said that he didn't shoot Savannah because she was LGBTQ or trans. He shot her because she was trying to rob him, and this was a simple self-defense argument.
Investigators say the defendant and the victim were involved in a sexual encounter. Afterwards, Bible shot Williams in the head. Prosecutors say Bible realized Williams was a transgender woman. Bible's defense team denied that allegation, instead claiming the shooting was done in self-defense. The jury didn't buy that claim. At sentencing, Bible apologized for the shooting.
Now, the community wanted Bible to be charged with a hate crime, but prosecutors didn't because they didn't feel they had enough evidence to show that Bible shot the victim just because she was trans.
Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says the case did not fit the legal standard to be charged as a hate crime, but says that doesn't mean hate was absent that fall morning.
The fact that we could not charge this as a bias crime does not change the impact that this crime has had on making our trans community feel less safe.
Now, we got to keep it real. This case wasn't a slam dunk for the prosecution. They did have a dead sex worker who was on the run for robbery. And you had a person now claiming that, hey, I shot this person because they were trying to rob me. But with the jailhouse phone call, the confession, the prosecution was able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person shot Savannah and it was murder.
County prosecutors are calling the murder of a 39-year-old transgender woman a cold-blooded, brazen killing.
Today, a judge sentenced the man convicted to the maximum prison term under the law.
The 39-year-old Williams was fatally shot last November in Minneapolis' Phillips West neighborhood. 25-year-old Demarion Bible was convicted in Williams' murder.
So Bible got 30 years, which is the maximum under the law, and the judge is like, hey, this is a pretty easy case. You shot her and it wasn't self-defense. Now, if I was Bible's attorney, I would have argued for voluntary manslaughter. My argument would have been this was done in the heat of passion. Just like if a woman walked walks in on her husband in the middle of an affair, pulls out a gun and shoots and kills him, that's considered a crime of passion, not murder. And I think this could be considered that. With a crime of passion, it really depends on how a reasonable person would act in that same situation. Would they have been enraged to a point where they could have done something ridiculous like this? And remember, it doesn't absolve you from the crime. It just lessens the liability, again, from 30 years in prison to maybe 10 to 20. And then I believe for the hate crime aspect of it, I think you could make a reasonable argument that this could be seen as a hate crime because Bible shot her because she was transgender. Now, as you heard earlier, prosecutors didn't believe they could prove that this was motivated by bias, and that would open up the door for a defense of a heat of passion. So prosecutors stayed away from that and just went for the straight murder charge. So I think at the end of the day, with the facts that we have in front of us, this was the right decision. Now, as always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Do you think this should have been charged as a hate crime? Do you think the prosecutors made the right call in only charging with the second-degree murder and getting 30 years for the max sentence? What do you think about Bible's defense? Do you think his defense of she was actually trying to rob me, do you think that was a good defense that should have worked? Or do you think it would have been better if he just said, hey, I did it out of a heat of passion? Now, understand, if you do think that he should have used the heat of passion defense, he's essentially pleading guilty to the underlying facts and the underlying crime. It's not going to get him out of prison. It's just going to reduce the amount of prison time he'd have to do. So with all that, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Peace.